Hey everyone, welcome to Collector and Competitor. I have finally gotten a hold of a 692 executive grade, and I had my first range session with it, and I thought I'd just bring you guys in. Trying something new here. Give me your feedback, let me know what you think. I was just trying to get a feel for the gun, compare it to a couple other similar sized frames. So check it out. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know what you think. So from the left, we have the Smith & Wesson 586 Classic. The only thing done to this gun is the Hogue grip. And then we've got a blued 4.25-inch Colt Python and the brand new 692 Taurus executive grade. I know the Taurus is more akin to the K frame, and the Python is somewhere between a K and L frame, and we're using L frame Smith. So hopefully this gives us a good comparison. This is the target array I have set up. It's real simple, just to get the initial, I want to say first impression of the Taurus and kind of the feel how it is to the other guns. Just 3 targets B8. We're at about 10 to 12 yards here. So starting off with the Smith, I've probably got, on this one I know I've got over 2,000 rounds. I'm not sure how many beyond that. It does have some pretty decent holster wear just from getting carried and practiced with quite a bit. Now, if you shot a Smith, you know that the trigger is consistent all the way through. Even if it's heavy or light, you kind of get the same weight as you go, which is something a little bit different from the others. A real distinctive break, no squish, anything like that. And with 38 Special, especially in an L frame, it handles it extremely well. I started with this gun because I'm the most familiar with it, and I thought I would kind of get a good baseline for where we're at. For setup on this day, I was actually trying to outrun some storms, so a little bit of a rush, but I don't know, I think we got what we needed to for this test. Moving on to the Python. I actually got this from the Colt Python experience out with Range Ready TV, and this is how the guys from American Fighting Revolver spec'd it. Originally we were supposed to get a stainless matte Python, but we got upgraded to the blue, and the guys wanted us to have rubber grips because of how much we were going to be shooting it. It was only 400 rounds, though. I didn't think that was anything tremendous or that really warranted the rubber grip. But a Python, if you're not used to a Python, it was a fairly new experience for me. It's a sharp trigger. There's slop, kind of like the very beginning of a Glock, and then once you get past that slop wall, I'm going to call it, the trigger stacks, and you get a little more pressure towards the end, but it's a very distinctive break. Another thing with Python I found is that if there is any tension on that cylinder when you go to release it, it's just not going to open. I know you're not supposed to have any tension on there at all, but if there is anything, it just locks it up. Now moving on to the 692, real excited about this gun. I have to say, out of the box, it's the nicest fit and finish and the best feeling trigger of any revolver I've ever put my hands on. Like just a factory revolver. Super impressed with it. It comes with a brass sight and it looks great. Like super easy to see. Now one thing that was different, I don't think it was bad, but different, the trigger is longer in a way than the Python or the Smith. And it's consistent like the Smith, but it's long. If you're familiar with the Ruger, it feels like a longer trigger, and that kind of threw me off. And I mean, I would never recommend training switching a gun every 6 rounds, but this is really just for a first impression. How does it compare? So looking at our hits, obviously the Smith, we put it right on. You'll notice the Taurus is a little low. Smith, nope, I don't really have any issues with that. I think I could tighten it up if I was trying to. I ended up later making an adjustment to both the Colt and the Taurus, really just bringing them up. But all the triggers on these are so different. If you're going to compete with one or carry one, I would really recommend getting it and sticking with it. So I thought on round 2 here, I'd go back to the Taurus, pick up where I left off. And I felt like these shots were better. It's kind of getting used to that trigger. I feel like this thing has room to run. Like, especially, and you can really feel the port on this. So the Taurus is 35 ounces, and the Python and the Smith, the 586, those are both 42 ounces. So this is a lighter gun. and it's a good-looking gun too. I can't tell you, like, I never thought I would be bragging about Taurus. And I guess my impression of Taurus, not being a person who's had one, I always thought Taurus was like a high point is a poor man's Taurus, is what I always thought. But man, I am super impressed with this revolver. Works great. It's a 3-inch, and like I said, it's ported. And at 35 ounces, using the exact same ammo I'm in these other guns, it's not moving. It handles that recoil extremely well. Round 2 at the Python. Something about the Python. There's 2 things on the Python that I think are notable from the Smith. Both the Smith and the Python. Oh, this is weird. I had a hair that was stuck to the rear sight, and it was very distracting. Never had that happen before. But the Python has a red ramp sight, just like the Smith. And I've noticed that the red ramp on the Python, and I guess it has to do with how the end of the barrel is or something, it does not get dirty. But with the Smith, after 50 rounds, I wipe off the ramp so that red stays nice and bright and you can see it. I don't know why it's like that, but also the recoil impulse on the Python is very different from the Smith. I don't know if it's how it's balanced or the height or where you can get your purchase on the grip, but like the Smith, and I feel like you can kind of see it in the video, maybe not. Yeah, look at that wear. I'm super proud of it. War torn. But the Python, it's like it kicks back more than the Smith, where the Smith feels like it kicks up, and then the Taurus just feels like the port is doing all the work. I mean, as silly as it sounds, like when I was shooting this, I wasn't going for a time hack, and I wasn't trying to shoot the most accurate group of my life. I was really trying to feel what's going on in my hands here. And that Taurus, you can feel the port working. I know that sounds silly, but I'm telling you. Okay, so you can see groups are about the same. I obviously pulled them with the Smith, but there's a Taurus, practically the same as the last one. That Python does feel like a laser beam. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if it's what about it, but it does feel like I can shoot it very accurately, more so than the other ones. And let me note, everything on these guns is factory except for the grip on the Smith & Wesson. So made a quick adjustment. I think I just did 2 clicks up on both the Taurus and the Python before shooting them again. And yeah, that trigger is different, but I'm telling you, like, and again, I cannot believe, I never would have guessed that I'd say it, but the best trigger out of the box is that Taurus 692 executive grade I've ever touched. Now, after that adjustment, you can see much better shots, much better placement with the Python after the adjustment. And the Smith, I didn't change it. I just shot it again. There you go. So at this point, I've kind of got an idea for like the accuracy. Oh, check these out. You can buy these rolls of stickers on Amazon, and they're cheap, and they come with, I got a roll of these in like 2019. And I haven't used a third of them, but it's the quickest and easiest way to reset. So I moved on to some fast shooting here. I'm not going for a time hack. I'm not going for anything else. I'm trying to feel the trigger, the recoil impulse. In the Smith, man, I've done it so much with the Smith. I'm comfortable with it. Just rip that out real quick. The Python, because of that stacking trigger, it feels weird. Trying to run it really fast, and I think it's just one of those things where you should pick one platform, and these are all great platforms. I don't think you would regret having any of these platforms, but it feels very different to shoot, and like the trigger on the Python, you really have to, like, I don't want to say manually reset the trigger, but you really have to get your finger completely off of it, or you'll skip a cylinder, which is, I feel like, harder to do with the Smith with the trigger return springs. Now the Taurus, man, I think this thing has potential. Like, I don't know that I could run it faster than the Smith right now, but I feel like that gun could rip. Now, from a competition perspective, you know, a 7-shot revolver is not competitive. If you're in a practical shooting or, you know, limited or open in ICOR, it's got to be an 8-shot, really. I think ICOR you can get away with a 7, but if you want to be really competitive, it needs to be that 8-shot. But man, for a carry gun, and this 692, you got a 9mm cylinder comes with it, so you can shoot 38 special, 38 short if you wanted to. Speed loaders, moon clips. You got 9mm in the cylinder. I'll show you guys that later. The cylinder, man, it just pops out with one push of a button. So you can kind of see where the hits are. These are all very manageable. Again, not really trying on these real hard. I was really trying to feel the gun more than have the best groups in my life or something here, or hit some certain time hack. So the Smith, super easy to control under recoil, shooting fast. The trigger's the same pull all the way through, no slop whatsoever, and that's just a factory trigger. With the Python, weird to shoot fast, but totally manageable. It's different though, so I think it just takes training if you wanted to be really good with the Python. You really got to get your finger off. And then the Taurus, man, look at the Taurus. I'm not trying to gloat here, but I feel like the Taurus is punching so far above its weight. You've had other companies riding their coattails for a long time. I know Colt has done a lot to make improvements, and I know Taurus has been doing a lot to make improvements. This thing has bang for the buck. Okay, so here we are back with our 3 revolvers. This is a first impressions. This is not some deep review, but a couple things to note. The 586 is a 4-inch at 42 ounces. $1,000 is the MSRP, $999. Python, you're paying for a little bit of name here. Everybody loves a Python. 4.25-inch, 42 ounce, $1,500 MSRP. You can get them for $1,200 for sure. Then you get to the Taurus, 692, 3-inch, 35-ounce gun. MSRP is $1,106. I got mine out the door. I think it's $804. So don't tell my wife. But man, the value for what you're getting, the fit and finish, and the fact that, I mean, I've gotten other revolvers, and I don't want to say exactly which one, where I didn't want to take it to the range until I had done something about that trigger or that cylinder release, or the grip was just completely untenable. This Taurus, man, $800, I feel like it's punching way above its weight. And the Python, great gun. I don't have a ton of experience behind it. I think it's got a lot more. I can't outshoot that gun by any means. But, man, a lot of good guns here. I'm looking forward to digging into the Taurus more. But if you've been thinking about the Taurus, if you wanted an optics-ready Taurus, I mean, look at Alchin Gun Parts. Great guy in the revolver community. And he's making, like, optic plates now for this Taurus that just screw it on. So look into it. All right, well, guys, let me know what you thought of this. Let me know if you enjoyed this kind of trip to the range, a little bit of a practice session. I might go into more details about like how I'm practicing or something like that. Y'all let me know what you want to see. I just want to grow the revolver sports, and I want to see you all on the range. Hope to see you at your next I-Corps, USPSA, or IDPA, and hope to see some wheel gunners out there. Y'all have a good one. Thanks.